nothing that says that Saddam Hussein had weaponized his anthrax. He hasn't weaponized jack crap. And Levin votes no on this thing, but he had to convince me because I was hearing that he had weaponized. Why would I be hearing that?
Yeah, no, it was a deliberate disinformation program. And listen, I wish I was in the same category as Scott Ritter to say early on before the war started that
they just smeared him too, you know.
Oh, no, I know, and you know, I was going along saying, well, they must have something they're not telling us, and so I went along and said, you know, I supported the president and I supported going in. But I give people like Scott Ritter and Tony Zinni and Ray McGovern and others far more credit for being far more visionary and far more questioning about, you know, the pile of crap we were being fed. Because it was only in May of 2003 that a friend of mine who's still with the agency alerted me to the fact that the books had been cooked. And
what did you make of Tenet's vague and uncaring response about Valerie Plame, your classmate?
It would have been helpful if he would have stood up and said that when it happened.
He really didn't say anything. He said, you don't mess with one of my officers, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, it would have been...
And Scott Pelley actually said to him, was there damage done? He's, I don't want to talk about it. What?
Yeah, well, I can see him not wanting to get into a discussion on
He didn't have to get into the granularity, as he likes to say.
Yeah.
But he could have said, look, it wasn't just her. They put the whole breastplate operation in a follow-up column by Novak, and nobody ever even talks about 20 years' worth of work going down the tubes.
Yeah. What caught me was at least he was admitting that she was a CIA officer, which so many on the right wing have continued to deny, and that she was somebody whose cover was worth protecting. But again, it's just too little, too late. This after the fact, when you're cashing the check and ringing the cash register for $4 million, you know why he's telling the truth? He'll give you 4 million reasons why he's telling the truth.
I don't even think he's telling the truth.
No, it's a self-serving truth. And it is, unfortunately, doesn't square with the facts.
You know what it is? It's bad rehab. He's trying to rehabilitate himself, but what you can't acknowledge, you can't change.
Yeah.
And he's not acknowledging what his freaking problem was. And listen, the best light I could put on what his problem was is that he was weak and wouldn't stand up to this administration at the peril of the American people, at who paid the ultimate price ongoing in Iraq and, of course, on September 11th. But you know, that's the best happy face I can put on it, is that he was weak and he took no for an answer. Then you have Condi. What the hell is wrong with this woman? Sitting on the TV saying things like, well, you know, that's a new fact that George is presenting, that he wanted to do a preemptive strike on Afghanistan. And if somebody knows what we were supposed to have hit, I wish they would tell me. But Richard Clark told her.
Right.
In a memo that I can now read what he wanted to attack. He was saying, attack the way stations where these people are held before they're shipped out, attack the camps, attack the banking system, that they, the way that they transfer money is by messenger, and what does Bush do? He shuts down the unmanned aerial vehicle program, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then shuts down the Bin Laden unit after.
It was one thing after another, and again, Tenet. I don't fault him as much, for the work he did, because he was good in helping sort of rebuild the morale out of CIA in 98, 99 time frame.
That's what I've heard.
But he still became the quintessential Senate staffer, which he had been, and he was more interested in pleasing those who were the seniors, instead of having to stand up and speak to them, in very uncomfortable terms about that what they're pushing was not supported and that he was going to back his analysts.
Why would he sit behind Colin Powell after long last? Why would he do such a thing?
He was just being, from his standpoint, he was just being a loyal servant. But that's not what you need as an intelligence chief. You need somebody who's going to be your Dutch uncle, who's going to tell you, it's like that episode of The Sopranos last night with the two guys sitting down with the one kid who's acting out and saying, hey, you can't keep acting like this. That's, ultimately you need somebody like that who can bring some adult leadership. And the fault I have with George Tenet is it's not just a matter of bad decisions. It is he had a chance and could have altered the course of history simply by speaking up. Instead, he kept silent. But now he wants to cash a check. And if he wants to cash that check, fine. I've let him feed his family, but I think he owes at least 50% of it to the American soldiers and their families who are dead or wounded and whose lives have been altered forever because of his refusal to stand up and do what was right.
It's stunning to me. I don't know what ever happened to, real people doing real hard things because they know that this job is going to require real hard things and they're up to the task.
Right.
When did everybody, including U.S. attorneys, this whole thing, when did everybody become so self-serving? It's like, they don't ask what they can do for their country. They ask, what can you do for me? They're also self-serving.